everyone, it's Yurissa Consciousness here. I'm joining Lemay Soul Crafts Debra Lem. Yes, in this, it's actually her live that I was invited to. So it wasn't working on her side. She's up. I've accepted her request. See, Debra. Hi.
Hey, it's
There you
working.
are.
I don't know why it wouldn't. I've never had that problem before. That's so weird.
No. I sent 2 requests and it was said that I joined both times, but you weren't seeing it on your side.
Each time I clicked on accept, it said unable to accept or something. So I don't know. Anyway, here we are.
Yeah.
We are talking now. So yeah, just add me later as a collaborator and then it'll show up on mine.
Okay.
Whatever.
Cool.
Instagram is acting weird. I think we're also heading into a Mercury retrograde soon.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. I'm still recovering from that full moon.
I'm recovering from life. so yeah.
Yeah, it's been intense. It's been quite intense.
Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm actually, when things are good in an energetic level, a journey level, it's usually quite tough in the physical. So I'm feeling like we all are undergoing a major purging of whatever was hidden, under the rug, in the cupboards, the skeletons in the cupboards. Everything is like kind of trickling out, the little bits and pieces to deal with and flow out. That's what I'm going through at this point. Just random memories, random thoughts, random intense feelings coming up, and simply to purge.
Yeah, but I think that's that a lot of people are going through that, but they don't recognize it, and they're just feeling chaotic, and then they're going to project it on everybody else. Because why am I feeling this way? What are you doing? What are you doing? And that's what's going on.
But if you remember early on in our journey, when it used to happen, we used to be like that, just consumed by all these feelings. And I think, with experience, you learn, you observe yourself when you are in awareness. So then you know how to center yourself and release, consciously release. A friend and I were talking today, and we noticed that a pattern, one of the things that's coming up quite intensely is fear, this intense fear. And we actually said that if it had happened a few years ago, we would have been consumed by that fear. But we just knew now, release, cleanse, and center yourself.
Yeah. Because, and the thing is, I was talking, I don't know, to somebody the other day about this, and I said, imagine that the stuff that we go through with the knowledge that we have, that somebody else goes through this that does not realize that they are always supported, that there is always angelic help, you have spirit guides, you have your higher self, you have to just check in with your intuition. But a lot of people, they are detached. Oops. They are completely, my hair is all crazy. It's a bird's nest situation. It doesn't matter. And they don't have the thing that we rely on every day, this connection, and we get pushed deeper and deeper in trusting this connection, no matter how insane it seems. What we're being asked to do.
Exactly.
And other people, they're going to go with logic. They're going to go, and then, you hang on to, oh my God, I feel afraid. The answer is going to be in the fear, but it's not going to be there.
The fear is totally ego created. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist.
Because it's in A Course of Miracles. Have you ever read A Course of Miracles?
No, I haven't read A Course in Miracles. I feel like that sounds familiar, like I heard about it this week. actually.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
weird.
pretty big book.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine, he's like an ambassador, I guess you could call it, for A Course of Miracles. And in A Course of Miracles, they say that fear doesn't really exist once you activate love, that love is the only thing that exists, and fear is
Yeah.
just the absence of love.
Yes. Yes. You and I share a common purpose here with our demon fighting Blu-ray. Our
Yeah.
Blu-ray component. So we know whenever you're facing a lower entity, it's love. It's love
Mhm.
that defeats it,
Yeah.
not anger and violence and the 3D vision of what
Yeah.
fighting and succeeding is. Victory is love.
Mhm.
Mm,
Because I actually had a situation last week
mm,
where I was attacked. I
mm,
had lower, like negative beings, reptilian
mm,
beings that were
mm.
entering in my meditation. Like I'm meditating
Yeah.
and I see these reptilian type of beings, but like all
Mm,
small ones, and they're
mm,
just in my room.
mm,
And the thing that
mm,
I did was I call upon the seraphim angels,
mm,
which are like the highest rank of angels, closest to God. And I call upon them, and they put this golden egg around me,
mm,
and I'm just in
mm,
this golden light. And
mm.
I'm just like neutral. I'm not angry
Yeah.
at these beings. I'm not anything. I'm just in this love frequency.
Yeah.
And they get
Yeah.
mad. They're like,
Mm,
eh,
mm.
they start freaking out because they cannot stand the frequency, so they
Yeah.
go. They just go
Yeah.
away, or
Yeah.
they somehow get absorbed by it, or they just go away. So
Yeah. I've actually faced some with quite a humorous what is it, strategy, where I'm like, hey you, what
yeah,
you doing? It's like so much of fun and love. What you doing? And then they're like, huh?
and then they get
What
like,
are
"What
you
are you
talking
doing? I
about?
am an evil
You
astral
talk
being.
to me.
Why are you
Yeah.
talking to me?" Yeah, but that's fun.
Yeah.
I had a friend that did the same thing. Well, my mentor, she's actually my mentor, and she also works with the Blu-ray and Violet
Yeah.
Flame. And she said
Yes.
she would just talk to these beings. She would talk to
Yeah.
them like, "Oh, I love you,
Yeah.
and you are God,
Yeah.
and you are beautiful."
Yeah.
And they would be like, "What are
Like,
you saying?" They
oh.
would get all mad and stuff.
It's kind of funny. Maybe no one else can see the humor in it, but for us, it's quite funny because when you're in it,
Yeah.
seeing it, experiencing it, it's like, it's crazy, you know?
Because yeah, they feed off of your anger. They feed off
Yeah.
of your fear.
Mm,
Because that's a
yes.
lower frequency. So the
Mm,
moment that you go to this low
mm,
frequency of fear,
mm,
anger, being frozen, then or
yes.
like not knowing what, then they can access,
Mm,
that's what they
mm,
can access.
mm,
They
mm,
cannot access anything higher. Compassion, they cannot access, or whatever,
yes.
forgiveness, they
No.
cannot access any of those things. So
Yes.
they're gonna have to
It's,
try to bring you to
yeah.
their level.
It's not even part of their consciousness. They don't even know that those higher emotions exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
so they have to try. It's like, okay, you send a 5-year-old to college, they're not gonna understand the the stuff that's being taught over there.
Mm.
So
Yes.
they're gonna sit there like, I don't know what's happening, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It does.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing.
It totally does. Experience. We often forget that we need this 3D experience. We need to live this life. We need to interact with people of all levels of consciousness. This is how we grow. This is how we are activated and
Mm-hmm.
we progress. Because you have to start somewhere. I often say that it's quite something to think about when you think of monks in a monastery meditating for most of their day and not interacting and sometimes not speaking. Because my
Yeah.
question always is, how are they activated? How do they grow? How do they learn? Because I would like to see if out of the monastery, and this is no judgment, it's just I'm very
Yeah.
curious. out of the monastery, if you put them in like a city center for a day, can they interact with people? Because we have very strange interactions, and you grow and you learn from how to interact with people of different levels. Yeah, I think
Yeah, but
sometimes
it's
that's
the
the
most
challenging part.
these people, and I've said this before, I say this regularly, these people
Mm.
that are, oh, I'm gonna go and live in Bali and I'm gonna be
Yeah.
there like some kind of new age hippie and I don't
Mm.
want to deal with the world. What
Yeah.
the fuck? I'm sorry. What are you doing here then in this world? If you
Yeah.
came here and you're gonna change the world,
Yeah.
but you're not
Yeah.
gonna be, you don't want to have anything
Yeah.
to do with the world. Oh, I'm
It
going to be
is.
here, but I'm not going to talk to you.
Yes, it is possible that maybe for a part of your journey, you need to be in seclusion, you need to be
Yeah.
quiet, you integrating. But I
Hmm.
feel maybe that's a portion, and you need to be so connected within to know when that time starts and
Yeah.
ends, and that you can't get too comfortable. Because, of course, if you're not interacting with anybody, things are going to be perfect. Rosy, you'll be
Yeah,
like the
then what
most
are you doing here?
enlightened person.
That's
Yes.
true. Hmm. Yeah,
And
because I can see, and you can probably see as well in your own life where you've had phases of integration and
yeah,
isolation, and then
yeah,
phases of I have this, I have all of this stuff, now I need to go give this to other
yeah,
people. That you see, oh,
yes,
I have all this, now let me go
yes,
share all of
yes.
these.
Share and also validate within yourself. Did you actually integrate this lesson?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, the exam. It's kind
Yes,
of like the exam to see,
yes,
okay, am I now sharing this? Because what happens? I see this in the Akashic records. You have these people and they're thinking, oh, I'm not spiritual enough. I'm working at the bank or I'm working at the, I don't know. And I'm like at the hospital. And I'm like, yeah, but it's your job to anchor this
exactly.
in
Yeah,
this place where
yes,
you are. And
yes. And it's
yeah,
crazy because people like that who deal with so many people on a daily basis, they don't realize that their main role is probably transmuting. They're transmuting
yeah.
so much of negative energy daily, and they don't even know it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you look at the state of the world today, we need people that are going to be cleaning up a lot
Mm,
of this energy
mm,
that we first need to
mm,
get rid of before
mm,
we can bring in a new clean
mm.
energy. And that's why a
Yeah.
lot of people on this journey, they're like, why am I so tired? Why is this so difficult? Why? Because
Mm,
we are not yet
mm,
there. We're not yet at this new
mm.
golden age. We are in
Yes.
an in-between stage
Mm,
where we are getting the insights.
mm,
We see,
mm,
okay, stuff has to change. And we are now cleaning all of this stuff out of the way
mm,
so that the new
mm.
stuff can come in, which is kind of, we're kind of the cleanup crew for the next
Mm.
generation, like my
Yeah.
daughter, like your
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
They are going to
Yeah.
have a way
Mm,
different future. They're going to have a way easier future,
mm,
but
mm,
that's the job that we chose, and that's the
mm.
job that they chose, I feel.
Yes. And have you also felt that this period, the past few months, has been like a more rapid rate of transformation,
Yeah.
of receiving, integrating, purging? To me, it's felt accelerated to an extreme level where we haven't integrated the previous download and we're receiving already. So we
Yeah,
kind of doing everything simultaneously instead of by stage.
it's definitely speeding up. Like it's coming faster, and you're being
Mm.
asked to like. It's kind of like a survival. How do you say that? Like a thing where. What's that called? I didn't sleep much. My brain is not fully alert.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I know
what's that called
what you're
again?
saying.
Obstacle course. An obstacle
Yeah,
course. Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you go from one thing to the next, and that's what we are doing, I feel, in this
yeah.
energetic obstacle course. And
Yes.
and you think, okay, I jumped over this thing here, now I will be okay, but then the next thing is there. And it's speeding up, it's accelerating, but we're also getting more tools to navigate this in a more effortless way, I feel, in my experience.
And it's so cool and synchronistic because just before we went live, I pulled a card. I was just guided to pull a card for the collective. And can I share the card and the message? Because it kind of just fits in so much with what we're talking about. I just got this new deck recently. It's quite beautiful. It's the Star Dragon Oracle by Paolo Barbieri. Yes. And this is our card. It's resilience. And finding your limits. And the message here to me is so clear because we're basically being pummeled energetically for such a long time. And, you know, we are all so resilient because even in our lowest moments where we feel this is it, I can't take anymore, we get back up and we're going and we're feeling lighter and brighter because we've passed, as you say, that hurdle. And to me, the message is, yes, find your limits, but that limit is actually within a moment because we are limitless. We are limitless. And as we level up, we see that more and more. We have no limits. And yes, embrace your lows. Embrace what you feel. Honor yourself. But know that the next moment is going to be brighter. Or it's the next minute, next hour, the next day. You always rise. And you have to go through that cycle. You know that cycle where you go low before you can go high. It's like a trampoline. Yeah, it's like a trampoline.
That's a good way of looking at it, a trampoline. I've never actually looked at it that way.
Yeah.
I have to remember that for next time when I'm having a meltdown. Oh, I'm just at the bottom of the trampoline. I'm going to be going up again. That's a good one. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. But it's true. Where is
it brings some fun. It brings some element of fun as well.
In this book, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, that you see what it looks like. Of course, I read this constantly.
Well used.
In this book, she's constantly talking about initiations, so these obstacles. And this lady, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, she's probably had the worst life that anybody could imagine. She was in this big Babylonian war before years before any of her children were born. She lost her fiance, I guess, while she was pregnant. Then she had the baby on her own, somewhere in a shed. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. And then she had to go, of course, through the crucifixion of Jesus. She had to go through the Romans hunting down her family. She had to go through crossing the sea from Israel to Egypt, then to France, not knowing they were on a little raft if they were going to survive. And the thing that she did was say, I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray because I know that I'm always supported. I'm never alone. I always have support. Mother, Father, God is always supporting me. I don't see it. Show me. Show me if I don't see it. Show me again. That's how I live my life. So that's how I live my life. That's how you live your life. And that's the only thing you can do.
My mentorship with you, that's the gift that I received. You recommending that book, and as well as you guiding me to change my perception of the challenges. And the minute you change your perception, it's not a challenge, it's an initiation. It's something you have to pass and you're going to be leveling up. And I was actually thinking about this today in the car, that it's so, I don't know, unreal to wrap our minds around the fact that Yeshua and our grandmother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, these were all normal human beings living a normal human life in this 3D framework. And it's that they were operating at this higher consciousness. So it's very much how we experience the density some days and difficulty in interacting with people. They experience the same thing.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, they focused on faith, they focused on their purpose, and it was unwavering. They had their bad days. My friend Michael, when I was having a really bad day once, and you know, you deal with people and sometimes you get so much of resistance and you can't understand why. But it's our vibration. It's our vibration kind of irritating people's energy because we are forcing them to face their shadows. And
especially when you have this blue and violet frequency.
Yes. And for us, it's challenging to experience it because we feel hurt, we feel sad, we feel confused. And Michael told me, and it just centered me instantly. Michael told me that remember that Jesus Christ was one of the most hated people in his time. And just saying that, I got goosebumps now, just repeating it. And that just centered me that we need to remain centered in our faith and our purpose and have compassion for the people around us who don't understand us or what we are doing here. We live our purpose and with the intention that's always from love, no matter how.
And I think after a while, you also get better at not getting your own self-worth and value off of the opinions of other people. Because when you realize that God is love and you are God, then all you need is your connection. And then if somebody says, oh, what you're saying is bullshit, what you're saying, blah, 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 all this stuff. And in the beginning, you're going to need those reflections when you are fine-tuning your intuition, when you are learning how to trust your intuition. You're going to get challenged by all of these people that are going to kind of challenge you and be like, are you trusting your intuition? We're going to put this person here that's going to tell you, oh, you're lying. We're going to put this person here that's going to say, oh, you're blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to ask yourself these questions, have this inner dialogue, which is necessary for you to then learn that all of the truth was already inside of you and that you can find all the answers within yourself. And then you're going to be less triggered by the stuff that the other people think, because you're also going to realize I'm here in service. I am here in service of something bigger. My ego can be upset that somebody doesn't like me. I'm not going to stop saying what I have to say.
Yes. And what helps me a lot in those situations to remain centered and true to myself is to remind myself that someone's reactions or their thoughts are a reflection of their inner world. It shows what's going on inside them if they act or speak from a place that's less than love. And then you have compassion for them because they're not aware of what life is if you step with love, you act from a place of love, you speak from love. Not that the journey is perfect.
Get angry still. It's like we still get mad because people think, oh, you're so spiritual, you never get angry, you don't ever feel fear. That's not what that is. That's not what being spiritual is. You feel it, but you don't identify with it. You observe it and you recognize, I am feeling this. I am observing that I'm feeling this within myself. I'm seeing, noticing that I'm feeling this within myself. And then you can have the dialogue within yourself.
Yes, and sometimes I saw this meme this week that made me laugh, and it was a picture of a cat, this grumpy cat making this angry face. And it was like, the title of the meme was, on a day where I feel less spiritual.
Oh, yeah.
And we have those days. We have those days when we don't deal with our triggers as well. That's the human experience. We do get angry. We do get angry. We do get frustrated. But the whole thing is to be the observer most of the time,
Yeah.
and not react. And not react.
Yeah. We're definitely going to have our human days. And I think as long as then, like, okay, you have a day or two where you are very human.
Yeah.
And then let's say Monday, Tuesday, you kind of messed up. You had two kind of human days. Wednesday, you're like, oh, I did not have two very good aligned days. And then you reflect on, okay, this is what I didn't do that I should have done, and now I'm going to do better.
Yeah, and what about for us ladies? What about the impact of our moon cycle? Our moon cycles affect how aligned we
I
can
talked about this on another podcast.
Yeah,
but it still needs to be released. The podcast that I did with somebody else, and I do this in my mentorship. I speak, but I didn't really talk about it with you. But usually, when I am working with women and they have my phone number or whatever, they email me and they're like, "Oh, I'm feeling weird today. I'm feeling I'm feeling I don't know." Like, okay, but where are you in your cycle? What week is it? Is it week 2? Is it week 4? You don't have to put the same set of rules upon yourself that you like. In week 2, we're ovulating, we have energy, we're exercising, we're, I don't know, eating healthy, we are super creative. Week 3, you're gonna be angry at everybody, and week 4, you're bleeding and you just want to sleep. So you're not gonna be exercising. You're not gonna be super creative.
It can differ, from person to person, and it comes back to connection. Connection with self is the most important role you have in this incarnation, not connection with your husband or your child. That is secondary to connection with yourself, because the more connected you are with yourself, the better your connection is going to be with your loved ones. And, ladies, I think, and ladies, especially with a partner that's very connected to them, the partners are also affected if they are empathic, by the ebb and flow of the divine feminine.
Yeah, and especially, but now we're getting a little sidetracked, but not really. Most women have no idea, feeling that it is connected to their cycle, that they are 4 different women basically in 1 month time. You have 4 different phases in a monthly cycle. Yeah. And you have to plan your month like differently. You cannot expect, and that's the thing that, of course, this society expects from women that work a full-time job. Oh, you have to do this amount of work every day for 30 days. There is no excuse why this work should not be as easy on day 28 as on day number 4. When if you are having cramps, you are exhausted, and you feel completely drained, you're not going to be able to do as much as you would be able to do on day 10 when you are full of energy and you have these hormones filling up your body that are wanting you to make a bunch of babies. Of course, you're going to be way more productive then. So,
and I always encourage everyone, but especially women, to flow. Feel into yourself. Every day is different, and flow with how you feel. Like, you can't have the strict exercise regime. You can't have that if you're a lady, especially. You have to consider. You have to consider your body. How do I feel today? Do I need to lie down? Is that going to be more beneficial than a high intensity workout? You need to really feel within.
Because I think we have been so programmed by this society, and we have to act like men to be successful in life. And I've talked about this on my podcast. I've actually talked about this. Women think that if I act like men, they will respect me. Men don't want a woman that acts like a man. That is going to repel them.
And I don't think it should matter what men want. We need to be true to who we are and what we need. And if we need to flow and be quiet, or we talkative, or we grumpy, or we need a nap, and we don't want to do the wash, we don't want to do the wash or the dishes or cook, that's fine. That's fine. You know, and we need to be okay with that. Uncondition ourselves.
I have 2 days of dishes downstairs waiting for me right now, so...
Yes, me as well. Me as well. And I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like. And it's not that big a deal.
No, because if you need to eat and you run out of dishes, you're going to do them anyway, so...
Yeah. Or you'll just do one plate, because that's what you need. You need a plate.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to also be forgiving to yourself, and that's what this spiritual journey is also about. People, I posted something like this a while ago. I said, don't wait for perfect. Don't chase this being perfect, because loving yourself is also loving this whole process, realizing I'm not perfect. It's fine, because I am worthy the way I am. And I'm always learning, I'm always changing, I'm always evolving. And in every moment, I am loved by God.
Yes. And one of my favorite sayings is, you are perfect in your imperfection. Everybody is perfect in their imperfection, because what makes us beautiful is our unique imperfections. You know, our quirks, our personalities. And I think we need to move away from the people pleasing and what looks good and sounds good, you know? Because
I want to get a little deeper on this imperfection, because of course we have to always apply self-reflection and also see where is something an imperfection, or where is it a wound that we are being maybe toxic, where is this imperfection behavior that is damaging other people, or where is this imperfection just my own thing where I don't feel that I'm good enough, that we have to be able to look at that.
It comes full circle to awareness and connection and intention. That's what it comes down to, just being aware of ourselves. What are we doing? Why are we doing that? Is it harming anybody? You know, these are just normal questions that should be regular throughout the day, you know, especially if you're interacting with many people.
I saw a video a few weeks ago, and this person was a psychologist, and she said only about 15 to 20% of all humans self-reflect. That's not very many. That's 1 in 5 people that looks at themselves and sees, how am I behaving? How am I treating other people? How am I treating myself? What do I think about myself? Most people don't do that. 4 out of 5 don't ever do that. So, and then like what you said in the beginning, when you go out into the world, you have to deal with all of the people that are not doing. And I'm not saying we're better, they're blah, blah, blah. We're not. We're all equal in the eyes of Mother, Father, God. We're all here playing this game, this earth game. And yes.
Do you believe that all of us are on an awakening journey, or do you believe, like myself, that there are some people like in the movies that are just extras, they're just present because you contracted for interaction with them, but they're not necessarily on an awakening journey?
Dolores Cannon calls those people the backdrop people.
Yes, I call them extras, you know, extras in a movie.
Extras in it, I have 2 opinions, because I can see how they are extras in our story, but in the story of Mother, Father, God, they are still developing, but they may not be on a journey of ascension or assisting actively in the ascension process of the planet. They are just learning their lessons, but their lessons are on a completely different wavelength than the lessons that we are learning. So we may cross paths with these people, but we don't necessarily have contracts with these people, but they may cross our path, but they are doing their thing completely, and we are doing our thing completely, which does not make them lower us, higher, any of that.
Yeah.
We are all
Yes, definitely.
part of this big puzzle, this big, this big puzzle that makes up all of consciousness.
Yeah, I actually feel like those people who are starting off in their journey on Earth, incarnating on Earth, I actually feel that part of their role is to assist us in grounding our energy into this body and anchoring. That's just a feeling I have, that, you know, the interaction and their presence helps us anchor into our body.
Actually, that is true, I think, because for a while, before I did this full time, I used to have a part-time job in Belgium. When I still lived in Belgium, I had a part-time job, and I would have to go to people's houses. I would have to help them with stuff, and a lot of these people were elderly people that were like in their 70s. And there was this one lady, she was super 3D, like super gossiping all the time, 3D, typical old lady. But I would go over there and I was doing readings. I was very much in the higher frequencies. I was channeling the Pleiadian mothership. I was doing, so every Monday, that's the first house that I would have to go to. And she's like, oh, and did you hear this and did you hear that? And I had to clean her fish tank for her and all these fish and all this stuff. And then one time she fell in the backyard and I had to pick her up, all this stuff. And but that was super grounding because it put me in this world. And I had to interact with this lady on her level. And then I still felt like I had a valuable interaction, because I was able to contribute to her day on her level. And that's what we are doing here,
yes.
I think.
I actually watched this very cool documentary on Netflix. I don't remember the name, but it was about the blue zones in our country, in our world on Earth. The blue zones are the places on Earth where the highest number of people over the age of 100 live. So this man traveled to a few of these blue zones to investigate, why do these people live so long? What do they do? And the commonalities between all these places was their physical contribution to their lives, doing, you know, whether it's cooking or cleaning or whatever the hobbies was, involved their hands. You know, they were always doing, investing their energy into the quality of their lives. And then it was food, the foods, high vibrational foods that they ate. And the third one was community, and not rigorous exercise, not like going to the gym every day, but
100-year-old people in the gym.
Yeah, they were people. Yeah, there were people that were 90 years old that still had their bowls teams and their tennis teams regular, but team sports. Also interaction with one another, community, talking, sharing, supporting. You know, consciously, the highest life you can live is one where you are aware that you are living in service and you're living in love, and you're contributing physically to your life. And it's a funny thing, in South Africa, because we have quite a large number of people that are unemployed and living in poverty. It is a common thing where we have domestic helpers, people who come and help us to clean up, and we pay them. And it's like a livelihood for them in our country. And I used to do this. And recently, in the last few months, I opted to not. I said I wanted to do it. I just had this feeling inside. I want to do things in my own way at home. And I noticed a distinct shift in energy, in the energy of my home, and the lowering of density in the energy. When I cleaned and I neatened and I set my home myself, not doing anything different to my
No.
helper. She
Yeah.
was awesome, but it's just
Yeah.
me contributing and clearing. It made such a
I used to
difference
tell
to my
myself
home.
the opposite. That is actually very interesting because when I did my 3D job, I used to
Yeah,
tell myself, and I would tell these people too sometimes, because I had this older couple, and I
yeah,
would see them once a week, and they had a dog, and I walked the dog, but I also cleaned for them. I cleaned their entire house. They had a two-story house, and I would literally call myself the cleaning fairy. I said, like, the cleaning fairy is here,
yeah,
but because I was listening to podcasts
yeah.
or meditations. I'm constantly
Mhm.
listening to these high frequency things when I was over there cleaning their house. And so I was kind of cleaning everything with this really good energy. And they also said after I left, they said, there was something here. When you came and cleaned the house, the energy felt different. I said, yes, because I'm the cleaning fairy. I cleaned all of the energy in your
Yeah,
house. And,
energetics
and
as well. Dirt and energetics.
so, yeah,
Two
I
for
can
the price
see
of one.
how when you are doing your like you're cleaning your house
Yeah.
and you're not having external energies in your space where you want this high frequency, then of
Yeah.
course it's going to be way easier to maintain this high
Yeah.
frequency in your house.
Yeah. And I love
Yeah.
it. When I'm doing any little thing, pottering around, I really love it. It brings me so much of joy. And it never did previously. It was like, oh my God, I have to do this. But now it's just like, it's my home. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's also because with this spiritual journey, you learn to be in the moment and find spirituality in every moment. That's the thing that Jesus
Yeah.
taught as well, that Mother Mary taught
Yeah.
as well. Anna, the grandmother, they say, find God in everything that you are
Yeah.
doing.
Yes. And they
And
did a
that's
lot
the
of
thing.
menial tasks. They had a lot of menial, hard labor at times, and they just put their
Mm-hmm.
spirit into it and flowed
Mm-hmm. And that's
mindfully.
the thing. And that may be a weird, like, thing to compare, but look at, like, for instance, the Amish that live in the US. They are still very religious in their own way, but they have a fulfilling life in the sense that they find God and joy in the everyday small moments. And if you look at it, then you look at the modern person that
Yeah.
has the internet, that has phones, that has, I don't know, they're gonna be way more depressed on average because they have all of this external distracting stuff that they are gonna be filling up and spending their energy on constantly. And people that live in these more simple communities, where you still have to work, you still have to use your hands, you don't have time to constantly be worrying or to be spreading your energy on stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. You don't have time for that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like how people who garden comment after they've done their gardening, their bodies are sore, but they feel so good inside. It's really, and it's
Yeah,
grounding as well to do that. It's very
that's how
grounding.
I felt
Yeah.
when I lived at this farm here in Spain. I'm
Mm.
sure you remember.
Yeah, I
I
do.
lived on a farm for 3 months. And so what did that mean? You have to get up every morning, you have to go feed the chickens, sheep, pigs, and you have to help with harvesting. They had pistachio fields, a bunch of pistachio trees. We had
Yeah.
to go harvest all these trees. It was super exhausting. I was extremely exhausted. But I started channeling a bunch of Pleiadian stuff. while I was harvesting
Yeah.
these pistachios.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening? And then I'm hearing the pistachio is a Pleiadian tree, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
All this stuff is coming through.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, interesting.
That's nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fun.
that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't even know if there's anybody
There's
on with us.
one or two people are here, but
Um,
if people are watching this later, if you're watching the
yeah.
replay, we're just having kind of a chat about life, about what it is like to be
Yeah.
spiritual in this world, about how you navigate all of these
Mhm.
challenges with all of
Mhm.
the stuff that we are being bombarded with constantly.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
I think that you and I, we both have this shared devotion
Mm.
to the mystical Christ teachings.
Mm.
We both find our strength in the original Yeshua and Magdalene teachings,
Mm.
I
Mm.
think. And
Yes.
that is really, for a lot of people, I feel they don't really want to look at that stuff because it reminds them too much of the church.
Mm.
But it would be good for people to look at it because
Mm.
it is not as far away. It is not
Mm.
as,
Yeah.
it is something that's here. It happened
Yeah.
on earth and we can
Yeah.
all relate to these people.
Yes. And it is just a message constantly of returning to love, returning to the love that resides within us. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. It's
So if
about realizing that's what you
anybody,
said.
yeah, if this resonates with anybody, I feel that they're having this little, that sounds like something I already know about. Go and read
Mm-hmm.
Anna, Grandmother of Jesus
Yes.
by
It's
Claire
here,
Hartsong.
but
Read
then
this book.
this doesn't look
Yes,
as weird as this one.
yes,
Whoops, the
it's full
sun
of
is not
activations
cooperating.
and codes, and if it resonates with you, you are being guided to go there because there are codes that are meant to be activated. Just like if you are listening to us now, chatting away, there are codes within our conversation that are meant to activate you. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a beautiful life we live. With the challenges, it's beautiful, it's magical. I don't think I would ever swap this life, challenges and all, for any other life. It's beautiful.
No, because imagine going through all of this without having the gift of communication
Mm,
with God.
mm. And without our
I'm
guides,
gonna make a post. I'm gonna
yeah,
make a post or a quote out of that. I think because that was good.
yeah,
That was good.
yeah. Well
Yeah.
done.
Let me. I'm gonna pull because I have these cards. I'm gonna
Yes,
pull a
yes,
card if that's okay, just for
yes.
anybody who's watching, about just
Oh,
this
let me do
day,
it too. Let me do it too. Let's
whenever
see if
they're
our cards
watching.
sync.
Yes, like whenever you're watching this, this is just gonna
Yeah.
be for whoever, whenever you're watching. This
For
is
whoever is watching.
creative
Even
force
under
confidence. But this is a
mine
mirror,
is
so you can't see this.
mine is returning and going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Going with the flow. Returning back to yourself, as we said, to love and going with the flow, following your intuition. This is beautiful. Oh, and look at this
Creative
dragon.
force.
Look at
Yes, I
this
feel like,
dragon.
yeah. What is that deck again? What is that called?
This is Star Dragons by Paolo Barbieri.
I think I've seen that on. I was looking online at like different decks because I want to expand my deck
Yes.
collection, but I'm not sure. I want maybe regular tarot cards, but then I see all these
Mhm.
oracle decks and I'm like, oh, but
Yeah.
maybe I want this, maybe I want this.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. But all it is a tool. Anyway, it's just a tool. We just use it to guide our
mhm.
intuition and channel. I don't think it matters too
Yeah.
much whether it's tarot or oracle. It's what you're guided to use.
Yeah, I know that I will use cards, but I'm not going to use the manual or whatever comes
Mm-mm.
with them. I don't use that. I'm
I
just
don't
get the
ever use
card,
the manual.
and
Yeah.
then I just listen to what they're saying,
Yeah.
because they're gonna
Yeah.
start talking anyway about, oh,
Yes.
this card, and ignore what's on the card, blah 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 blah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then
Yes.
they
Mm.
that's what happens
It's a
usually.
tool for our interpretation that we meant to share. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
when you rely too much on, oh, this card means this, but I'm getting this, and you still go and choose to not listen to that feeling,
Mm.
then you're
Mm.
still going outside of yourself for the answer.
Mm. Yes. And then it's a cycle. It's a lesson that is cycling, and you're going to learn it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be faced with it constantly. And this we know that it's not cyclical as much as it's a spiral. So it's totally up to you the rate that your journey proceeds at. Because sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
when we're faced with the lesson and we're just so over it, we're just so tired, and we'll just do the thing we know is not the right thing to do. And then a few weeks later, you splat in the
Yeah.
same place, faced with the same thing. And you know what? Be forgiving, as we said, be forgiving, and you just go with it. That's how it's meant to be. There is no
Mm-hmm.
right, there is no wrong, there is no perfect, there is no manual. We just have to take it moment by moment.
No, that would have been really convenient to have a
Yes,
manual to this
yes,
life. Like,
no.
hey, can I have a
Well,
manual or a GPS or anything
yeah.
because I'm lost? No,
Yes,
you're
well,
just gonna have to find your way.
to be fair to our team, there is a manual. We do
Yeah,
have our higher self and our soul, but to connect at that level,
yeah, that's the
we
thing.
are in a
And it
3D,
is,
framework. Hmm.
our
Yeah.
society doesn't teach people how to make that connection,
Mm,
and children are
mm,
naturally born psychic and intuitive.
mm,
And then we go and program them
mm,
and tell them, oh, you're imagining stuff,
mm,
you're
mm,
lying. And these children
mm.
are going to shut down their intuition.
Yeah.
But people like
But that's
you,
part of
people
their
like me,
path. Mm.
yeah,
It's part
because
of
then
their
they
path.
will reawaken. They'll
Mm.
reawaken. But then there's also the conscious parents, like the two of us. We realize, okay,
Mm. Mm.
we are here to create a foundation
Mm.
for these children.
Mm. Yeah.
And more parents are
Mm.
becoming aware
Mm.
that the way they raise their children is going to mean that their children are going to have to repeat a whole lot less bullshit than we had to go through to get
Mm.
to this
Mm.
point that we are at
Yeah.
right now.
And our children are going to use the tools that we've instilled in them in their journey to pave the way, make it easier for the future
Mm-hmm.
generations. I think they're going to be the leaders of the forest schools and the spiritual conscious learning, and move away from this mainstream schooling. I would
Educational.
say.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think, you know what, being in 3D, there has to be a balance. Yes, there are certain things you do need to achieve practically, but then there's balance. There's your divine masculine and your divine feminine, and you have to have a balance where you are practical and analytical, but you're also connected to your intuition and you flow. It's very important. It's very, very
Mm-hmm.
important. And
Yeah.
I really feel that this shift that we are experiencing now is gonna, the ripple is to be felt for many generations in our future timelines. The ones that are already
Mm-hmm.
in existence, already experiencing it.
And I can see it when I look at my mother,
Mm.
and she was in a generation where being spiritual was more taboo, but
Mm.
she is a channeler as well. She's a channel, and she was like, oh, I grew up in the 60s, and of course, oh, what are you, a psychic? Oh, you get laughed at, of course, you get mocked. Then she saw that when I was a child, I was psychic, and she said, okay, I'm going to make sure this child knows that it is okay to have these gifts, that she feels
How
accepted.
beautiful. Yeah.
So that's where she then learned. And now for
Mm.
me, it was like, oh yeah, my daughter is obviously
Mm.
intuitive. I'm going to teach
Mm.
her
Mm.
everything I know. And for
Yes.
her, it's going to
Yeah.
be, oh yeah, of course, isn't that
Mm.
normal? Isn't
Mm.
that the
Yeah.
normal thing to do?
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
4 generations that it took for my
Mm.
daughter to come to that point.
Mm. Yeah. So imagine future generations.
They're gonna just be like, oh yeah, it's normal that you
Yeah.
teach your child how to listen to their
Yeah.
inner voice.
Mm. That will be like a course in school.
It will be the new like normal for yeah, because now you have to listen to what's going on outside. What is the teacher saying? What are all these
Mm.
external people
Mm.
saying? Because that is
Mm.
what you should be believing.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
how are you going to expect that an adult is going to trust themselves
Mm.
when they've always been taught to go outside of themselves for everything?
Mm. Mm. It comes down to discernment, huh? Discernment, discerning what from the
Mm-hmm.
external is of value and what you just flow in and out of your awareness because it's not adding value. And that's something I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of us, as you progress on this journey, it becomes second nature to just discern and, just move along because you're
Yeah.
faced with quite a lot of opposing energy, I feel. Quite a lot of opposing energy, and you just need to discern and not necessarily allow yourself to be reactive or want to defend. There's no need to defend your values and what you stand for and who you are, you know?
No. And it becomes more difficult to be around energies that don't feel good anymore. Then you just
Mm,
naturally move away from
mm,
those energies.
mm,
You naturally
mm,
start to just go
mm,
away from those things that don't feel good to
mm,
you. And you
mm.
don't have the
And
need to argue. It's just you go
yeah,
away.
yes, and to look at the other side of the coin, sometimes we also don't feel good to them. They also will just
Mm-hmm.
move along because they don't want to be around us either. It's a two-sided coin always. Even in, those of us like us who've been in toxic relationships, what like really came into my awareness recently was we were also toxic to them. Our vibration wasn't in resonance with their vibration as well. And we created a lot of negative sensations in some cases for them as well. It's always like in tandem, you either aligned or you're not aligned. And it's not about judgment. It's about
Yeah.
the reaction of your frequencies and do they merge or not.
Because you were in my webinar, weren't you? The Celestial
Yes, yeah.
Understanding of
Mm,
Traumatic
mm,
Soul Contracts
mm,
webinar. Yeah. And but the thing is with for example, a narcissist, for that
mm,
energy to
mm,
flow, and I'm saying neutrally for that to flow. I'm not saying that that's a good thing that we want. I'm
yeah.
just saying for that to exist, there needs to be a trauma bond. And a
Mm,
trauma bond can only exist when there is
mm,
one
mm,
narcissistic or toxic parasitic energy
mm,
that then leeches off of a codependent
mm,
energy, a
mm,
people-pleasing energy.
mm,
That's the only way that that can exist. And if then there is an energy that is like, I am here, I do not agree with this treatment, then that's not going to work. And that
mm,
toxic person is going to be like, this doesn't feel good, you are not doing what I want you to
mm.
do.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it doesn't
So
work.
you see, like to the empath, they were toxic to the narcissist when they put down their boundaries
Yeah.
because the narcissist all of a sudden didn't feel so good, anymore in
Mm-hmm.
this relationship. So it's a natural kind of letting go of the connection because it's not serving either of the parties, rather, in that case.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Yeah.
interesting. It's very, very
And then
interesting.
what
And I
they
think
do,
we
of
could have
course.
a whole chat just on that dynamic.
Yeah, because the narcissist is then just going to cut you off, and they are
Yeah.
going to go look for a new supply because they need the supply, and they're like, "Oh, you're no supply. I'm going to find someone else." And that's what happened with me. My ex was like, "Oh, you are not supplying me with this stuff. I'm going to go cheat on you," and that's what happened. So because I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I'm not your supply." And then he just kind of went and moved on to somebody else. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, good for him. Good for him. Good for you.
Better for me.
Better for you.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because I talk about this in my podcast about soul contracts too. Soul contracts can be negative or positive, but you're always going to learn something. You're always going to grow and expand your consciousness. Even when it was a really negative experience, you're still going to expand your consciousness because you have learned through contrast.
Yeah, it's an orchestrated, it's a divinely orchestrated event that you needed for your self-growth, for you to return to self-love. Because of all the lessons, I think all the lessons eventually, if you simplify it, it comes to self-love. Us returning to loving ourselves, the light and the shadow as one. And totally.
And definitely. If I now look at my ex-husband, I would not be doing this work if he didn't really treat me bad, because he was the catalyst for my spiritual awakening. I had this entire dark night of the soul because I was thinking of killing myself. I'm like, I'm with this man. I can never escape this man. I can never get out of this situation. And then I had this moment that you said, the trampoline thing. I was all the way at the bottom of the trampoline, and then I had this Kundalini awakening where I was just like shot up into the sky, and I saw everybody's soul contract in this whole spider web of connections, and I saw him on a soul level for who he was and why this happened, why he chose the life that he chose, why I did the things that I did, even how my daughter was connected with this whole thing. And I said, I need to tell people about this. People need to learn about this stuff. And that was a negative experience. It was a negative experience, but I would not be who I am today if I never had that experience. And I'm sure the same goes for you and the stuff that you've gone through.
Yes. My ex-husband and I, we have a lovely relationship now. We co-parent our daughter beautifully. But we both are like very aware of within our relationship. I am aware of the dynamic within our relationship is also my greatest teacher in terms of me returning to loving myself. And it's no fault. It's no fault of his or mine. It's divinely orchestrated. We needed to use each other in this way to grow. And something very beautiful that resonates very deeply with me is that often in an incarnation, the people closest to us that hurt us most deeply cause the greatest transformation in our lives. And often in a soul group, it's because their soul connection with you is so strong, they have such love for you that they would incarnate in a role that is negative to help you
that's what I
in
saw
your soul
back
evolution. What is greater than that kind of love? Being here to be the catalyst in your soul's evolution, and
then also setting boundaries as a result. Because like you leaving, me leaving, in the 3D perspective, it then of course, like with my situation, my ex saw that I left, and that would have been that was perceived as, oh, you don't love me, you blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing this so that you will change, because you will never change if I keep enabling this behavior. If I keep whatever, agreeing with this whole situation, then I am not teaching you anything about yourself. So if I remove myself from this whole toxic situation, then you are going to have to look at yourself. And then on a soul level, that is a gift that I am giving that person. But if you tell this to a person that is just living in the 3D, they're going to be like, what are you talking about with your hippie nonsense? What a gift. I didn't get any gift, blah, blah, blah. But it is a gift on a soul level.
Yes. And you do feel that strong soul connection to know that on a soul level, you do have a very strong bond. But in this 3D framework, the roles that we need to play are orchestrated for the growth of one another, of transformation. And it's actually very helpful when you're in these situations that are emotionally very challenging to remind yourself that these are roles that were pre-planned. You agreed to this on a soul level because these are the objectives you need to achieve in this earthly incarnation. This is what we need to do, and you can still do it with love.
Exactly, and that's the thing that I also tell people when they ask me, yes, but if I set a boundary of no contact with a family member, with somebody else, then that does not mean that you don't love this person. I have people in my life that I have gone no contact with. And it is not because I don't still love them on a certain level, and I'm talking about family members or something. If you're doing this because you love yourself more, you still love yourself more, and you cannot be exposed to this behavior. If you love yourself, then you are not going to do that to yourself.
Definitely, because that's the most important relationship, the most important commitment is that love and that relationship with yourself. And love from a distance is still love.
And of course, some people aren't going to see it that way because they measure love in attention, in actual attention. But that is not love. Those are not synonymous, those two.
That's, as we said, a reflection of their level of consciousness. And also, I think it highlights a wound that they need validation. They need you to do certain things to validate this feeling that they are valuable in your life. But they don't need to do anything.
I talk about this all the time in my podcast. Any relationship where you need something from this other person, always go and look first, like, okay, why is it something that I need, or is it something that I want but not really need? Like with the good, like friends, if you have friends and you only reach out to your friends when you need somebody to make you feel good, maybe you have to then learn, what can I do to feel good? And then from a place of feeling good, you can go and have interactions with other people. And then these people are also not going to feel that you are clingy and only needing them when you are like in this wanting energy.
Exactly. In this energy where you need someone else to fill up your cup. You need to be filling up your own cup. And, we can go into, nervous system dysregulation, and we can go into how your nervous system is built and conditioned from the time you're a kid to 7 years old. And basically that programming is at play for your entire life from the time you were a little child, because this is what you received or didn't receive as a child. And that sets the foundation for what you need as an adult. And you need to be aware, and you can heal this. You can change.
No, and that's the thing when I talk about attachment styles, people, they're often like, oh, what are attachment styles? Yeah, we are in Spain. You can probably hear this loud music outside, but I'm just going to ignore it. I can hear it. Maybe you can't hear it. But an attachment style is how you're going to interact with every person in your life when you are an adult. And it gets created in childhood. How your parents deal with you is how you are going to later not necessarily deal with people, but it's going to influence how you deal with people. And a lot of people, they completely underestimate the childhood programming, like you were talking about.
Yes. One example comes to mind from my childhood is that I felt seen and heard and valued if I was useful. So I made it a point of making sure there was something I could do or I knew that was useful. So I was
that you were
seen and heard and I felt valued. And it's only with awareness that you realize in your adult life and interactions with other people that, hey, you're still doing that. But you are valuable whether you contribute nothing. You are valuable. But it's from childhood. And I think it's important to emphasize that there's no fault or blaming in this respect. It's also soul contracted in what was the wounding that was required and basically contracted to your parents that they needed to wound you in these specific ways. They're not to blame. They didn't do anything intentionally. It's their wounding from when they were children that they bring into their parenting. And we know this from parenting our children. We see wounding coming in. We are aware. And then you correct it. You shift the energy.
Because the first thought that I had when I found out that I was going to have a daughter was panic. I said, oh no, I can't do that. I don't know how to raise a girl. I'll mess her up.
Oh.
That's the first thing I thought, like, I'm going to fuck her up completely. This is not good. But then I started, I of course didn't. I didn't. And I started seeing where I wanted to do things differently. I started seeing, okay, how can I not make the mistakes, or well, not mistakes even. How can I do things differently?
Uncondition yourself so you don't pass on the conditioning.
Yes. And with Nora, my daughter, I can really see how I did things in a different way than some of my own childhood experiences, and how it has really influenced our connection. Like, I can see how she will feel comfortable to talk to me about her emotions. She will feel still, even though she's living with her father's family right now, we speak every day. We speak every day. And she is always, she just tells me how she feels. She's not afraid of telling me how she feels. I also don't judge any of her feelings. I don't judge her anger. I don't judge her sadness. And then she will feel appreciated and understood. And when, and of course, when she does get angry, and I'm sure you do the same with your daughter, when she gets angry, you tell her it's okay to feel these things, but not every way of expressing that is an appropriate way. There are appropriate ways of expressing the anger, and then there are ways that are just, we can just not tolerate. Like, you're not going to go punch someone in the face when you're angry, but you're going to find other ways. You're going to do introspection, look at yourself. Why am I angry? What did this person trigger? Is this justified, or is this my trigger? And that's what you're going to do.
I personally have found that my daughter has been instrumental in me healing my nervous system dysregulation. I never knew about nervous system dysregulation until I became a mom of, well, a 3-year-old. And then I started focusing on why am I reacting in that way? And then you realize that this is your nervous system. You are not accustomed, to these things. And she's been so instrumental in my growth and transformation and healing as a person, let alone a mother. So
I think when you have a child, that's one of the biggest soul contracts that you can have, being a parent.
It's
or whatever,
beautiful.
or step parent, or whatever, because they're going to be some of your most important teachers, your children. And I did soul contract reading for you and your daughter, and I've done soul contract readings for parents and children, for entire families. And what always comes through in these soul contract readings is that the children are master teachers for the parents, to come and teach them things that they would never accept from an adult, things that they would never accept from another person, because they would just get mad and be like, get away from me. And from their child, they have no choice but to accept this thing, because it is your own child.
Yeah, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and it's another soul contract, because you contracted to one another to share. She's helping us grow and learn and improve and uncondition ourselves on certain levels. And then we are giving them this grounding and the safe container to be different. And their different is our normal. And it's wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think we are definitely doing a lot of things that previous generations didn't even stop to think about. And then our children are going to do things differently again. And then eventually you're going to, because of course people think, oh, this ascension process, 1, 2, 3, and we are ascended. Yay, everybody is now an ascended master. That's not how it's going to go. But it's going to take generations. It's going to take a few generations, and that's also
we
the
are
healthiest
laying the
way.
foundation.
Imagine if there was there's people that think, oh, there's this ascension wave that's going to hit, but you're going to fry your whole system is going to be fried. You cannot imagine if with the full moon people are already fried. How are you gonna be able to handle this whole thing?
We've been experiencing extreme solar flares together with the full moon and the planetary shifts in the last few months. We've been under tremendous energetic pressure. And
I'm not doing too bad then, actually.
No,
I'm doing pretty good.
You're not. You're not forced to be sitting here and having this reasonable conversation on a Friday afternoon. This is like, we really need
after like 4 hours of sleep. I'm actually doing really good. High five.
You are. Well done. Well done, you.
And you too. Yes, we have made it. We have made it to almost to the end of 2023. We've almost made it to the end of the year.
And you know what? On that note, the end of 2023, this up and coming new moon, I think the full moon made us chuck out all the remaining garbage in our lives to make room for new light and set the tone for the new directions and new paths that we are following. This new moon is going to further integrate the new directions, the new energy, the new people we are choosing to be in our lives. And that is going to anchor this energy in December for 2024. So we're going to actually start 2024 off on a very high note, because we're going to be integrated already. And we're just going to be, like that zip line, that zip liner, we're just going to be zip lining over this amazing scenery with amazing people, having amazing experiences, surrounded by our love.
My way into 2024. Okay.
I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I would much rather like fly on the back of a dragon into 2024. Like,
Yes, yes, but
I'm
we
ready.
do that. We do that daily. So that's like nothing out of the ordinary. But when last did you zip line? I ain't never zip lined. I think I'm going to go
Have I
zip
ever done
lining this
that? Let me
December.
think.
I
I've
don't
done
think
that
I
once.
have.
There's this place in Arizona, and
Mm,
it's this what the hell is it called again? It's this old cowboy village, whatever, and
yeah,
there's
yeah,
this zip line thing, and I
yeah,
went on there once, and it was like, oh yeah, this looks like fun, and then I was on there like, what the hell have I done? I want this to
yeah.
be over. Okay, it's over.
I'm going zip lining before the end of this year. I'm going zip lining. There are so many canyons and forests here. Now that I think about it, I'm going zip lining to end this year. That is what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
My
South
friend,
Africa
you've
has
given me a
always been
brilliant
on my
idea.
list.
Yeah,
I need to visit South Africa at one point because,
you
of course,
do.
they speak a variety of Dutch, so I'm going to be able to
Yes,
understand a lot of the stuff you're
yes,
saying.
yes, you will. You will. It's very, very similar. And English, most of the country speaks English. So
Yeah,
if you don't manage with Dutch, you speak English. People understand
yeah.
English.
We're
Yeah.
definitely gonna have to meet up at one
Yeah.
point. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to come visit you.
Oh, yes. I live in the Western Cape, the southern coast. I'm on the southern coast of the Western Cape, and I've traveled most of my country. And this is the most beautiful, the most high vibrational. We didn't even speak about the dragons in
No,
South
we were gonna
Africa.
talk about
Yeah,
it.
we were supposed to talk about that, but we got very sidetracked. Yeah, in this
We'll have
conversation.
to
But you know
do
what?
these things
That's
regularly.
another tea time. That will be another tea time conversation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
thank you, my
we're
friend.
gonna do these regularly. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
probably kind of like stop for today because you need to go pick up your daughter soon,
yes,
and
I
I have
do.
more stuff to work on. The magazine
Yeah,
is coming out
yes,
today, our Activate Your Telephone Line to Source magazine, so
wonderful.
that's gonna come
Yeah,
out. I'm gonna work a
yeah,
little bit more on that.
yeah.
But it was a lot of fun talking to you,
Yes,
even though in the
as
beginning it
always.
acted weird with my Instagram not
Yeah,
wanting to let you in. I
it's
don't know.
weird, huh? Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah. Then for
Okay,
anybody
thanks so
watching
much
this
for this.
later,
I really enjoyed it.
yeah, it was fun talking to you and
Yeah,
also just
yeah,
sharing our conversation with people that
yeah,
are watching and people
yeah,
that watch this
yeah,
later. They
yeah,
can leave their comments and stuff. Just
mhm,
leave whatever questions you may
yeah,
have, anything that you heard that
yeah,
interests you,
mhm,
and follow us
mhm,
on our social media
mhm,
if you have any questions.
yeah,
And we'll put
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
description and everything of where you can contact us both
mhm,
or
mhm,
work with us both
mhm.
or whatever, we will all be in the description.
Yes, and I'll add you as a collaborator. We'll just chat afterwards how to do
Yeah.
that. And yeah, this was wonderful. And hopefully the first of many to come, my friend.
Yes. Yes. And next time, maybe my Instagram will let you in.
Yes, maybe you will accept
Okay.
me. Maybe you'll allow me to join.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem was. That was really strange. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Ah,
Okay.
it's fine. It's meant to be. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
You
Bye.
too over
Thanks
there.
everyone who joined. We really appreciate your energy. Bye. Bye.